Hello everyone, this is the last edition of What Goes On Tour for 2025, and sitting alone here in the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, reflecting on not only a 73-0 win to the Springboks against Wales, but also reflecting on a year in which they won 13 out of 15 games, 12 out of 14 test matches. And to be honest, you think back to the first round of the Rugby Championship against Australia at Ellis Park, and you have to wonder, given what's happened since then, what happened that late afternoon back in July against Australia when 22 points to nil up, the Springboks leaked 36 points and lost that game. One of only two they lost this year. They lost the other one at Eden Park in Auckland in the first of two tests against the All Blacks. But what is abundantly clear is how many lessons are learned from those kind of experiences. And Rassie Erasmus referenced it here this evening after going 28-0 up early in this game against Wales. You start to reflect on experiences that you had earlier in the season and mistakes that you made, and what have you learned from those mistakes. And I think across the entire season, there's examples of learning. Let's talk about some players. It's almost impossible to go through the squad and name them all, but some significant growth in so many players this season and depth built across every position. Another second consecutive season in which the Springboks have used 50 players or more. I think the one that really stands out has to be Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu as a starting fly half. Rassie Erasmus said he wanted him to start in high pressure situations. He started against the All Blacks in New Zealand. He started against France in Paris, he started against Ireland in Dublin and came through with flying colours. Not only has he been on point with his goal kicking, but also scored 9 tries for the Springboks this season and added an attacking dimension. But as Rassie always says, there's Marnie Libbok to come off the bench and raise the pace of the game. There's Handré Pollard, who he has referenced many times during this end-of-year tour, still just 31 years of age, a double World Cup winner, and somebody who has delivered under the most high-pressure situations imaginable across a series of Rugby World Cups. So the fly-half stocks look really good. Let's look at the scrum halves. Cobus Reinach earned his 50th Test cap in Cardiff here this evening, a man who started his international rugby journey in 2014, debuting against Australia in Cape Town. 11 years later, he wins his 50th Test cap. But what a season it has been for Cobus Reinach. If ever there was a breakout season for a 35-year-old, this was it for Cobus Reinach. A number of starts and adding real energy and motivating and inspiring, mentoring the younger scrum halves in the squad as well. Grant Williams has been outstanding in his role off the bench as well. We have to talk about the hybrid player as well. Andre Esterhuizen ends the 2025 season with a Man of the Match award here in Cardiff. And having had limited opportunity as an inside centre, this tour has really cemented his role in the squad, starting at 12 here this evening, but playing a significant role off the bench as a loose forward. He scored a maul try on this tour. He scored a try coming around the corner as a loose forward and put in a spectacular finish here in Cardiff in the corner, outpacing the defence. So to have those skills available, I can't help thinking that the situation in Wellington in that second test against the All Blacks had something to do with Rassie Erasmus and his coaching staff really buying into the hybrid theory, because on that occasion they went with a 5-3 bench and lost 3 backline players to injury in the first half of that game. Cobus Reinach fortunately returned after passing his HIA test, but it just showed how much risk there can be in a 6-2 or a 7-1 split. So great season for Andre Esterhuizen. Ruan Nokia is another one who has really grown into his role. Amazing to think that last season Ruan wasn't selected in the first squad of the year, ended up with all the injuries in the lock position, starting 5 out of 6 matches in last year's Rugby Championship, and he just continues to grow into that role as the number 5 lock. Thomas du Toit is another one who's had a fantastic season, getting regular opportunity to start at tight head. And then on this tour, young Zach Porthen, a former South African under-20 captain, getting 3 test caps on this tour and filling in at loose head And he mentioned to me after the game this evening, the first time since high school that he's played on the loosehead side. So a very special tour for Zach Porthen, getting his debut against Japan. Elsewhere in the squad, this role of building depth without sacrificing performance is something that the Springboks have bought into. There is extraordinarily healthy competition for places across all positions now. Of that we can be sure. To have used, as I mentioned earlier, 50 players plus in both 2024 and 2025 now, off the back of a 2023 Rugby World Cup win is something quite extraordinary. And winning 11 out of 13 test matches in 2024, 12 out of 14 in 2025. And I think that excellence on the pitch, we can also celebrate some of the milestones that we've seen this year. We had a 100th test cap for Willie Leroux. It seems like an eternity ago in the July internationals. We've also seen Sia Kolisi run out ahead of the team for his 100th test match in Paris against France. And then we had Cobus Reinach's 50th test cap here in Cardiff this evening. But also recognition for the Springbok forwards in the World Rugby Player of the Year Awards. Oxenche, the first prop ever nominated for the award. Pieter-Steph du Toit nominated again. Malcolm Marx coming away with that award, and another 3 Springboks named in World Rugby's Dream 15, including the whole front row, including Thomas du Toit. So an outstanding season of recognition. But one thing is for sure, individual accolades mean very, very little to this team. And that comes across even more powerfully every single week you spend in this environment. When they talk about playing for a bigger purpose and playing for South Africa, they really genuinely mean it. And they are so motivated by that. They are wonderful ambassadors for our country, and their performances on the pitch are matched by the way they conduct themselves off it. So it has been an utter privilege to be on a lot of this journey in 2025. We have so much to look forward to in 2026 with the new Nations Championship, with 3 test matches against England, Scotland and Wales in South Africa in July, and then coming back to the Northern Hemisphere in November, once again to take on Italy, France and Ireland. And of course, in between all of that, the greatest rivalry tour with 4 test matches between South Africa and New Zealand, 3 of them back home in South Africa and 1 at a neutral venue. So much to look forward to, but so much to build on as well. And that's what's really exciting for the Springbok squad. Their coach, their captain, and this entire squad of players, the management team, they believe that there is still room for growth. All that remains for me to do is to thank you for your support of the What Goes On Tour vodcast. Thank you to everybody who's participated in it. Missed having Shimmy for a few weeks on this tour, but hopefully we'll be back on tour together soon. And to all the guests who come on, members of the Springbok management team, our grateful thanks. But most of all to you, our valued viewers who have taken the time to watch and to engage and to give us your feedback. We hope to bring you many more stories from the What Goes On Tour vodcast in 2026 and beyond. From Cardiff, have a great festive season, and we'll see you next year.